It's day six of driving the alphabet. At least I think A, B, C, D, E, F. Yep, day 6 of driving the alphabet, where I have AI give me a noun that starts with the next letter of the alphabet, and I pretend I'm in Congress and filibuster on it. And I usually don't have all that much to say, so it's usually a fairly short filibuster. Would do me no good if I were trying to stop a law from being passed. But today is F is for flower, and I'm happy that that's what AI decided to give me, because I love flowers. I used to say that my dream would be to have a flower farm, and that'd be how I make money, and it still is definitely up there of one of the things that I think would be the best ways to make money. That sounds like an awesome job, but alas, that is not in my future right now. So maybe one day I'll have a flower farm, but today is not that day. Anyways, so flowers, there's several different things to know about flowers. If you're trying to grow them, if you're trying to arrange them, if you're trying to all the things. So if you are growing a flower, there's 2 types of flowers for your area. There is annual or perennial. And annual, you have to replant every year if you want them year after year. Perennial will come back. So in my part of the country, I'll give some examples. An annual would be something like, and I have to have a caveat. The perennials come back on the same plant. So, for example, a sunflower is an annual, but it might not seem that way because they often come back year after year, but it's because they reseed themselves, so the seeds fall down and they grow again the next year. So, just because something comes back the next year doesn't necessarily make it a perennial. So, some annuals would be things like sunflowers or zinnias or sweet peas or celosia. There's a whole lot of different options. If you're looking for perennials, there's some that are perennials in some places, but annuals in others. So, for example, tulips are perennial where it gets cold enough in the winter for them to have a cold stratification, I believe is what they call it, time. So basically they need to be dormant long enough to be able to grow again. And so tulips are perennial in colder climates, but if it never freezes, if it's never cold enough, they're only going to be annuals. They're only going to bloom once, so you'll have to replant them the next year. The other way around, dahlias, which grow on tubers instead of, you can grow them from seed, but they much easier grow from tubers. They look a little bit like sweet potatoes. Not really, but they grow kind of like sweet potatoes. Anyways, those are going to be perennial where it's warmer, but if they freeze, it's going to kill them. So they're annuals where it's colder. Either that or you dig up the tubers and you put in a lot of work to keeping them safe till the next year. So if you're trying to grow flowers in your own yard, those are some things to know, especially if you want low maintenance yard. If you want to be able to plant a whole bunch one year and then not really have to worry about it for a long time, you're going to want a whole bunch of perennials because they'll come back. One of my favorite perennials for and it might be all the United States, but I know for sure the Western United States, is echinacea. It's a native flower, and that's actually one of the reasons I love it, is because it's native, so you're not worrying about it taking over where other plants should be. But it also has medicinal properties to it. Obviously, do your own research, and I'm not a doctor, but there have been studies that have shown that echinacea can help shorten the length of a common cold and things like that. And the petals are edible, the tubers are edible, the leaves are edible. I believe all of an echinacea plant is edible. Once again, fact check me on that one. But yeah, that makes also eat the tubers of dahlias. So if it's like the apocalypse and everybody has dug up each other's food and, pillaged and stuff, a lot of people aren't going to go after the flowers first because they're not going to know it's edible. You can eat dahlia tubers. Actually, there's a whole lot of edible flowers out there. One that is not edible, would not recommend eating, is sweet peas. Those are toxic. Do not eat sweet peas. They smell really, really good, but they are toxic. But there are lots of edible flowers. If I remember right, like I said, fact check me on these. I am not held responsible for your actions. I believe snapdragons are edible, pansies, I believe zinnias are edible, dahlias, the tubers and the flowers, echinacea, the flowers, the tubers, the leaves, roses are edible, lilacs are edible. I don't think lilacs taste very good. They smell nice. And apparently you can make like a lilac simple syrup that tastes pretty good, but I've just tried straight up eating lilacs and I don't think they taste good. Dandelions are edible. I probably already said roses. There's these little, most people think of them as weeds, but there's something called wild violets, and they're edible, and they are actually extremely fun to make an herbal tea with. They also have medicinal properties. I don't remember exactly, so look that up too. But one of the things I love about wild violet flowers, if you make an herbal tea out of them, is it's kind of like a purplish tea, but if you decide to turn it into a lemonade or you add any lemon juice to it, you have a pH switch. And there's a reaction, and it all of a sudden becomes a bright pink. So you have these purpley flowers with a bluey purple tea, and you add lemon to it, and bright pink. So that's a lot of fun, and I think it's a fun thing if you're trying to teach your kids about pH for science. If you're wanting to do cut flowers or flower arranging, there's a few good things to know. So if you're cutting flowers to try to have the longest vase life you can, you are going to want to cut early morning or late evening, preferably early morning, but I know that's not possible for everybody. You don't want to cut in the heat of the day. That's when you're going to have them wilt really fast. They are less plump, full of water. So either way, no matter when you're cutting them, you want to get them immediately to water, if at all possible. Also, a lot of people think, oh, I should keep my cut flowers in the sun. They like sun. Well, alive intact flowers like sun, but cut flowers actually in the sun will have a shorter life because they keep doing their, what's it called? Basically, they keep processing the sunlight and going through the life cycle faster if you put them in the sun once they're cut. So, wouldn't recommend that. I mean, my kitchen table is pretty much always in the sunlight, so I just know that my flowers will have a shorter vase life. But if you're trying to make them as long as possible, would recommend keeping them out of the sun. Just like other animals and plants, pretty much all flowers can have diseases. So if you're cutting flowers from your garden, it's good between plants to make sure you clean your clippers. I honestly am not really good at it, but I also don't make a living off of it. So it doesn't matter as much if I have some flowers die. If you're arranging flowers, there's some much any direction you want and still getting liquid to them. If you use floral foam and you stick a flower in and you stick it too far and you want it higher, you can't just pull it up a little bit in the same hole. You have to make a new hole, because if you use the same hole and pull it up, your stem won't be in the water because it's not touching the foam where the water is. So that's something good to keep in mind. If you want to know something specific about certain types of flowers, leave a comment. I honestly could keep going for longer. This is the longest I've been able to filibuster so far, but I'm getting close to where I need to go, so I'll be ending this video really soon. But yeah, let me know if you want to see flowers I've grown before, because I love a good garden. If you want to see arrangements I've made, yeah, let me know if there's anything else you want to know about flowers or anything you want to see. And if you're interested in seeing unique flowers, look up Sunflower Steve on, I know he has an Instagram, I think he has a Facebook. He breeds sunflowers, and they're extremely unique, fun sunflowers. And there's some fun, like Micro Flower Farm has some good dahlias. Some of my favorite dahlias are water lily dahlias. You should look those up if you've never heard of them. They're really pretty. But yeah, let me know anything else you want to learn about flowers. I will gladly share what I know. Enjoy life. See you next time.